Good morning and welcome back to Community Couch Time. I'm Ms. Guadalupe Carrasco Cardona, and I'm going to come to you daily with topics that we should be talking about, things that are happening globally, things that are happening nationally, things that are happening in our community, but most importantly, things that we oftentimes don't talk about. And the question is, why shouldn't we? And the thing that's really amazing is that we get to share our perspectives with another amazing human being, Miss Tiffany Wallace.
Good morning, great minds and good people. I'm Miss Tiffany Wallace, and thank you for having me for Community Couch Time. Now, let's start the discourse.
Woke up this morning. My daughter Zia had a bit of a tummy ache. We decided we weren't going to miss our morning stroll. Got to make sure to take that and make it into a habit. So instead of through the park and picking up trash in the neighborhood, we decided to take the nice little stroll over to our neighborhood markets. This time, Plaza Market. I already know that the teas that I'm looking for are past the chiles, the frijoles, the rice, and other herbs and spices. Let's see, that's it right here. Bay leaves or té de laurel. And right over here, chamomile or té de manzanilla. Exactly what we were looking for. I leave with such joy. Off to the next stop. Down the street and over to our neighborhood coffee shop, La Terraza. Here we're going to go ahead and purchase an already made hot tea so we don't have to wait until we get home. 2 mugs, couple of dollars, and here we go. We're off to Community Couch Time with Miss Wallace.
Good morning and welcome back to Community Couch Time. How are you this morning, Miss Wallace?
I'm doing fabulous, Miss Cardona. I've got my hot beverage. I'm so glad. Love this hoodie weather that we're having.
I have my hot beverage and I have my hoodie, and we're 2 days till we get a nice little break. So I'm doing really well. And so, yeah, in my cup here, my hot beverage is actually a chamomile or a manzanilla tea. And so I really like, especially since it's gotten colder, have been really thinking a lot about using like natural plants and natural medicines, or even like foods being natural. And so I just wanted to see what you thought about that.
Oh, I love it. And I'm so glad that you brought up chamomile because it grows wild in a lot of fields. When I would play Ultimate Frisbee, when we would have our tournaments in the valley, the field would have chamomile growing on it.
Oh,
Like that was
awesome.
part of the grass. And so sometimes it'd be intense, long points, grab the plant, kind of crush it up a little bit and smell. And
It
because
smells so
chamomile has
good.
such calming qualities, I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, all right, do this. Let's get back in here,
Love
second
that.
half.
Yeah, that makes me think of lavender as well. Lavender has that calming quality as well. I do that sometimes too. I have like a lavender oil, and I'll just put it on my wrists and just kind of breathe it in every so often. It's just so aromatic and just smells really good. It actually tastes really good too. I love it in food, like infused in foods.
I've seen
Yeah.
that in different shows that they
Mhm.
talked about, like not Top Chef
Mhm.
or Chopped or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't. Oh, you know what? I've had it in lemonade. Some of this
Lemonade.
in a
I've had it in lemonade
lemonade.
too, and in coffee. I've had it in coffee as well. It's
Oh,
delicious. Yeah.
love natural foods and and native plants.
Mhm.
Works so well out here, and it's so important. Elderberry, for example, is one of the most common plants that's used for medicinal purposes, like made into gummies or pills or
Oh wow.
supplements.
Like
But with
gummy,
elderberry,
like gummy bear type things,
like
or
gummy bear type things.
oh wow.
Exactly.
Oh
It's
wow.
good for your immune system. It's treated for flus. But the plant itself, you may see it growing around. It's important to be careful because the stems are poisonous as well
Oh wow.
as unripened berries. So, with certain plants,
Mhm.
you have to be careful about
Yeah.
when you're able to enjoy them or what part of the plant are you able to enjoy.
Right, right. I know in our house out here we have savila or aloe vera, And so we have actually a lot. We had one plant, it grew huge. So we've had to replant several others. So I'm thinking I'm going to give you one for this holiday giving season, because we have, we have quite a few. My husband's really good with, transplanting them when they get too overgrown for their pots. And so what have you used Savila or aloe vera for?
I really appreciate that. And any instructions that you have on how to take care of it, I would love, because
you water it every couple of days.
Timing with the watering. I don't know. Sometimes it's funny because doing groundskeeping, which is a job I've had, or conservation, I can follow directions. But if it's like a plant and what do you do? Because they all have their different personalities.
Right.
I grew up using aloe vera. My mom used to grow aloe vera. We had a huge sprout of it, and she just would take care of it. She didn't really talk about us taking care of it. She just did it herself. And one time when I was in middle school, I went to a sports camp, and I got really burned around my cheeks, around this area. And so she would slit the plant in half, and we would rub the plant on the side, and it has little spines. But it was very, very helpful in recovering from skin burns from the sun. So I love aloe vera. Thank you so much. That's such a beautiful gift and very special.
Yeah, I'm excited to do that. And you can also use aloe vera as a natural gel. I have friends that do that as well. They'll cut the plant open and they'll pull out all of the the jelly, slimy kind of stuff, and you put it in your hair. It's like a natural gel. It's good so when you wash your hair and it goes into the water, right? You're putting something natural into the water, not a chemical.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
I was reading this article about this book called Farming While Black, and the author Leah Penniman talked about how Black women who were taken from enslavement from Africa into enslavement would sow seeds into their hair.
Wow.
And they smuggle seeds into their hair.
Wow. Of what? I'm very curious.
Of okra, of which gumbo actually is okra in Swahili. So that's another slime plant, but very helpful. And millet is another plant. It's like a grain, kind of like a rice. Other grains.
I love millet.
Their hair and their hair designs, and keep them so that they could have food once they were taken to where they were taken to. So it's a beautiful story and a book that I definitely want to read over break.
Yeah, that sounds really good. I would appreciate if you can share an excerpt of that with me as well. That's fascinating.
Oh yeah, I brought that up. Okay, so this is an article, Love Notes from soulfirefarm.org. Our great-great-grandmothers in Dahomey, West Africa, witnessed the kidnapping and disappearance of members of their community and experienced a rising unease about their own safety. As an insurance for an uncertain future, they began the practice of braiding rice, okra, and millet seeds into their hair. While there are no report backs from the other side of the transatlantic slave trade and rumors abound that white people were capturing Africans to eat us, they still had the audacity of hope to imagine a future on soil. Once sequestered in the bowels of the slave ships, they continued the practice of seed smuggling, picking up grains from the threshing floor and hiding the precious kernels in their braids.
That is so amazing. Such resistance, right? Such resilience, such power. I love that so much. I also, that's kind of making me think of, even though it's not as intense as that, but my dad worked in low income healthcare. And I remember I was a teenager and I went with him when he had to speak to a bunch of nurses and other folks that were in healthcare. Mind you, my dad only had a high school diploma, but he was very, he was prolific with his reading and with his writing. And he answered a question that this woman had asked him she was being very antagonistic towards low-income folks. And she was making a comment about using manzanilla or chamomile, because a lot of people like Mexican, Central American folks will use that when babies have colic. right? Those are like medicinal sorts of ways that we are used to caring, right, for children. And so she made an antagonistic comment or question about that with my dad. And my dad, he did such a really good job of just saying like, what now I would call culturally relevant healthcare, right? He just, you know, spoke back about how those ways of knowing about how to care for people in their sickness with using plants is something that has been passed down for generations, and that we cannot take that away from people just because we think we have, you know, a more advanced like Western medicine. And he basically said like they have the right to make that decision for their children, that has worked for you know, their ancestors for generations and generations. And so yeah, it's really powerful to think about this. I'm also thinking about Ron Finley in South LA, the guerrilla gardener, the gangsta gardener who
Oh yes.
yeah, who took over and you know, like unused spaces in South LA. And what's crazy is when those spaces had trash, nothing was done about it. And so when he went and reclaimed those spaces and actually put foods, healthy foods, right, you know, non-GMO foods, organic foods that the community could come and benefit from, all of a sudden he got pushback, right?
Yep, that's right. That's right.
Crazy. That just
I
shows you
did
the
see
power
that.
of healthy foods, right?
It's true. It's very, very true. And you know, and even non-native foods or native plants like eucalyptus. My mom used to boil eucalyptus plants. She would go to the park and she would
Right.
gather them and boil them in the house, and it would make it more calming for us, and breathe in the herbs.
I'm gonna do that if I walk by a eucalyptus tree. I haven't seen any in my neighborhood here, but if I walk across them, I'm gonna pull, because the bark kind of comes off by itself. It's not even like you have to
Yeah.
hurt the tree; it just starts
Just
healing.
grab the
Right.
leaves. They're very resilient trees and plants. And you
Right.
can just grab the leaves, wash them off, boil them, and then makes the house very fragrant. It's very calming. You see a lot of eucalyptus in rubs and salves that people will put over their
Yes.
chest and
Oh,
lungs.
so good.
Ill, and especially now dealing with a lot of respiratory issues, having
Right.
something there that improves your breathing is very, very, and is free.
Yeah.
Free to gather and to use is super important.
Very important. And so there are so many different natural plants and natural foods out there that we could just go on and on and on and on and talk about. But also, I know that a lot of you folks out there also use natural herbs and plants in your home. And so for your community couch time daily journal question, the question is, what do you use in your household? What are the natural plants and the natural foods that your household is used to using? Thank you. In la catch.
And look at